Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to HOTFIX. So, Mr. Kirioth, are you okay? I know it's a shock that it's actually a hotfix, Mr. Kirioth, but just try not to lose it. So it's been, well, I think we've missed a week, have we, of hotfix? It always seems like we've missed a lot of hotfix. I don't know what's gone on. I do know what's gone on, so allow me to give you a load of excuses, ladies and gentlemen. So mainly, I had problems with my computer, but I could have still possibly have done hotfix. Some of the topics were maybe not the best at the time as well, and it kind of got pushed off as we were doing other stuff. So that's what happened. So what we're going to do is we are going to do this. Obviously, this isn't live, so this isn't on Twitch. This is just I've sort of adapted what we usually do for hotfix. So we've got you can see the website we're speaking about, and you can see our faces, but I haven't got all of the other stuff which I did, which is for the live stream version. But anyway, let's get into it, Mr. Kirioth. So we've got a couple of topics. I'm going to quickly show you what we're going to go over, because this may tickle your fancy, ladies and gentlemen. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Microsoft accepting Bitcoin payments, which is, I think, quite big. We've also got another page on The Verge, but the BBC page is basically better, so we'll use that. And then we've got The Witcher 3 is delayed, which is... This will be quite an interesting debate on games being delayed and reasons why they get delayed, and should they be delayed, and are studios big enough to handle the, what they put forward, because this is kind of a really ambitious thing. And then we're going to go into something a little bit interesting. Now, this is Lucas Pope. He is the guy who made Papers, Please, which is an amazing game, and this is coming out on iOS tomorrow. Maybe you're not watching this video today, so then it would be the 12th of December. Or maybe you're watching it in the future, because that could happen. So then it's probably already out. But this leads into an interesting discussion about this as well, which is Heroes, not Heroes 7 or whatever that is. Heroes 3, the Restoration of Arathia, is on iOS, or will be in January. So I want to talk a bit about...
HD remaster.
Yeah,
You've got to throw it in. The HD... Everything is an HD remaster, even if it isn't actually.
Yeah, I know. It's like we've upped the res, whatever. There's actually a HD mod for this, which I did make a video of years ago on the channel, and it's like a really popular video, so go and check that out. I also sound like an absolute twat. And then finally, if we get onto it, we will talk about Destiny, because it's got new content, but the raid's also, it's already been beat, and it's just like I watched the joystick live stream of this. Don't ask me why I did. I don't know why I did, but they literally finished all the story quests in a few hours, and it was just like, what? This ain't worth $20. Yeah, Mr. Kirioth, how have you been this week, son? What have you been doing? Give it me while I take a drink.
Oh, you know what? I've been attempting two things, right? Firstly, and this is going to sound weird, and this is not even on the agenda, I'm just going to mention this in passing. I've been attempting to play Dragon Age Inquisition, but I don't know why. My interest in that game, I played it for like 20 hours, and I was like, this is great. I got to about hour 22, and probably went, I don't actually care. Like, it's just dropped off massively. I have literally no desire to play it. I just haven't loaded it up for ages. And I can't really work out why, because I like the game. But I think I've decided that whilst I like the fact that it's like Dragon Age Origins, it's almost like it's still not as good as Origins. And I prefer to play Origins than play Inquisition through, even though Origins is older. Because it's just lacking some magic, and I can't work out what it is. But it's a shame, because I enjoyed it, but it's like Destiny in a way. I enjoyed Destiny, but then I put it down, and then immediately it was like, I'm just not going to pick it up. I just don't want to. You haven't got that urge, you know what I mean? Sometimes you pick up a new game, and you're like, oh my god, I want to finish this.
Destiny was a weird. Destiny was a weird thing. You know what? This is actually quite a good discussion, Mr. Kirioth, because I think there is an update which came out for Dragon Age, which I think wrecked some of the PC things, but I think they've since fixed it. But yeah, my relationship with Dragon Age lasted about 45 minutes. Inquisition. Now I'm gonna just throw this out there right away, because I think this is the reason why I didn't play it, and this. It may sound stupid or whatever, but I did not play Dragon Age 2, okay? I played the demo of it, and based off that, I was like, I'm not playing this game. I know Kiri played it, and he filled the blanks in for me, but Dragon Age Origins, okay, was sort of, it was a story. You were going through a story. That felt very much like Mass Effect or something like that to me, where I can sit there and I can really get into the story, and I can go from this bit to that bit to this bit, and then it's like, oh, I remember this guy, he's from that bit, this one, and that type of thing going on. Dragon Age, I think I probably played it for more than 45 minutes, actually. And also, hilariously, I've just noted that there's an ASMR post on this BBC website. Don't listen to those videos; they're terrible. Anyway, so yeah, like it must have been probably about an hour and a half. I don't know. I think Origin would probably tell me if I checked, but it just felt like nothing was going on, and I'm just running around, and every time I got into combat, it felt like a chore sort of thing. It's like, oh fucking hell, I've got to kill these guys now. I've got to click on this stupid thing, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I just never felt it, but like people have said, once you get out of that area, the first area, I got up to the bit where they formed the Inquisition, and I went into the next bit, which was like a sort of like hilly grassland place. And then I just stopped. Yeah, then I just stopped. I was just like, well, I'm not. And I never really. It wasn't like I hated the game. It, apart from the inventory was terrible, and the camera really pissed me off. Everything else was perfectly fine. It just didn't. It just didn't give me that, like, I'm on this story-driven train, which can be good, guys. I firmly believe games like that, even if they're not open world and all this crap, that just force you down one path. If it's a well-written story and you do have choices within that story, then it's fine. And that's what I got from Dragon Age Origins. I know you could do some different things, couldn't you? But a lot of that game was you went to an area, you went to an area, you went to an area.
Yeah.
It wasn't like just do whatever the hell you like sort of thing, which is what Inquisition is.
One of the things that actually has pretty much killed Inquisition for me was the fact that there are these shards all over the place that you need to collect, and you can you find them by viewing them through this crazy like enchanted skull. There's like a telescope, and you see like a glint in the distance, and you focus on it. It's like you found a shard, so you then go and pick up the shards. People have said that they like that because it makes them explore the zone, and it shows off the sights and the views. I don't mind seeing the sights and the views, but the shards are integral to getting better gear because you use them to unlock like areas and dungeons and stuff where you get like basically good gear and good loot from it. The problem with that is that I like the bit that you get to after you've collected the shards. Collecting the shards themselves, I don't like it. I just don't care. I've never been a collection quest person. Like there's some people like, oh wow, this gives me a chance to explore the zone. I'm like, I want to explore the zone, but I want to do it when I want to do it. If I want to just like plow through combat quests, I want to be able to do that and then get a decent reward, not have like decent stuff locked behind an activity that I just find boring. Because there's no way to force yourself to enjoy something that you don't like. And I don't like collecting the shards. I just don't find it an enjoyable activity in that game. But the shards are like integral to making your character better. Oh, great. So I've got to do this thing that, I mean, yeah, you could say that you don't need to, because frankly, I did it once, right, and got gear. And then I was like, no, fuck this, I'm not doing it again. And you could say, well, it's kind of like you don't have to, but it's like,
Guild Wars
I just
2
don't
did
like
this.
the fact that it's so
Guild
integral
Wars
to
2
it.
did it. It wasn't totally integral, but their whole way was like you can sort of will reward every style of gameplay, which does make sense. So, and it's funny that I'm using Guild Wars 2 as a comparison because Dragon Age or Inquisition is like an offline MMO, really. You could explore the world. They had the jumping puzzle things. They had, if you got to like places of like outstanding beauty, you would get skill points, which were basically points used to level up your character and stuff. Because I don't think you had a level in. I think you did. Don't slate me, guys, but I know there were different ways you could actually progress. It wasn't just all combat kill stuff like it is in World of Warcraft, or maybe you can do a little bit of, like you could do PvP, I suppose, or maybe some trade skills, but not to the extent of where they've rewarded everything. But the thing is, for me, with these BioWare games, I just want a really solid story, and I want it to shove the story down my face, and I want to be able to feel like I'm integral to the story and I'm making decisions. And I just never got that with Dragon Age. But then, like I said, I only played it for an hour and a half or so, and I just didn't want to play it again. And that's, you played it much more, and you made a video, and I watched that video, and like, everything that was in the video, what it showed me in the video and what you spoke about made total sense. So it's just like, I have no will to play that game, really.
I liked the story, and I like the fact that you are so integral to the story, but unfortunately the story doesn't feel all that integral to the game itself at times. And it's like, I much prefer the thing where it's like, this is your land, you must do these things, as opposed to, this is your land, can you go and collect these stones off the floor to go and get loot? Can you? There's just something about it that doesn't feel right. Yeah, it feels bloated, like more bloated than Origins, but without the kind of, I'd say without as good characterization as Origins had, because that's what kept me going back. Because it's like there's so many different options, and there's so many different things you can do, and yeah, you do get that in Inquisition, but it's not as good, and it's more bloated, which is not really that great a combination. It just turned me off the game. That, and I've cancelled my WoW subscription yesterday.
Yeah, but that anyway.
God damn.
All right, let's get into the topics in the video before Mr. Kirioth decides to send us down some other frigging rabbit hole. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, this to me is actually quite big news, and I know quite a lot about bitcoins because I was like an early adopter. and I'll tell you my sod story, my sob story in a moment, ladies and gentlemen. But what this news is Microsoft are now starting to accept payments for using bitcoins. So I think you have to use them in specific batches and stuff. And I think you can only use them in America at the moment. Yeah, currently bitcoins can only be used by customers in America. In addition, bitcoins must be used in fixed amounts. So I guess that's kind of like their Microsoft Store points. You can only use. Well, the thing with that is Bitcoin value changes a lot. It's not like it isn't. You can't just say this is $10. You'd have to say this is. They would say this is like zero point 0.1 of a Bitcoin, but that could be worth maybe one. These are just numbers I'm making up. That could be worth maybe one day $15, but the next day it might be worth $16. Then it might be worth $21, and it could be worth $13. So that's probably why they're like bulk price, so they can kind of cover themselves in that respect. But Bitcoin, well, what the hell is Bitcoin? Well, if you don't know, I'll give you a very brief summary. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, right? Now, what that means is it's like a totally digital currency. Okay, you have people who generate the coin through various mining programs. Basically, I don't really want to go into too much detail on this because it'll be a bit boring. But people could make them, okay, right? So maybe you could build a specialized computer for it or whatever. GPUs were quite good at it, Radeon GPUs, whatever. But you would run this program, which basically completes the encryption on the transactions in the Bitcoin network, yeah? So it's like a self-authenticating system. So if I send Mr. Kirioth a Bitcoin to prove that it's come from me and gone to him, it's sort of, this is like very like dumbed down as well. So if there are any experts out there, don't hate me hate me for this. I'm just trying to make it very simple as I can. That if I was using a mining computer, okay, or like a mining rig, that program would authorize the transaction between me and Kiri, and as a reward of that, we generate some more Bitcoin. Yeah, you may complete a block as well. This is where it gets a bit complicated, where you get like quite a lot of Bitcoins in one go. But as Bitcoin ages, it becomes more difficult to make a Bitcoin and more difficult to finish off blocks. And I think there's only a finite amount of Bitcoins. This is why their value goes up and goes down and all of that stuff. Because it's like, let's say there's only 100 Bitcoins. There's way more. But if that was it, then that's it. But it's not like you make one Bitcoin. You make fractions of Bitcoin. So like 0.0.1 Bitcoin is worth something in like dollar value. It's not like worth nothing, whereas 0.0.1 dollar would be worth nothing. Anyway, that's a terrible explanation. But before I started Unit Lost, I got onto Bitcoin. Okay, I remember I seen it and I was like, this looks fairly interesting. This does. I had quite a fast GPU at the time, and I started to generate some Bitcoins. And in those days, it was quite easy to make Bitcoins. I think you could basically make a Bitcoin if your computer was on 24/7 using the mining programs in about, I don't know, it was only a couple of days and you could make one, but they wasn't worth much. They were only worth, like, I remember doing the calculations, and it was, if I left my computer on all day, right, this was like my gaming computer, and it made a Bitcoin, right, the Bitcoin would be, I'd basically make like £10 a day or something, like, in profit, because the electricity you'd factor out of it and all of that stuff, which was like, okay. So then there's me thinking, well, why don't I just get loads of these, and I could just be making 200 quid a day, couldn't I, or something crazy. So I spent some money and I built a computer specifically. It had Christ, what's it called? It's not SLI, Crossfire, that's it. It had Crossfire 580s or something in it, Radeon cards that were like really good at the time for doing it, for the Bitcoin mining, because you use the GPUs, not the CPU. And I remember leaving that on, and I generated quite a lot of Bitcoins. Okay, I'm not going to say how many because I can't really remember, but it was quite a lot of like whole Bitcoins, right? Now, bear in mind, Bitcoins are currently worth about 220 quid. £220, I think they're worth. What did the BBC say? Yeah, £228 a Bitcoin. And I had like a lot of Bitcoins, right? Anyway, I started to have a load of problems, right? Because it wasn't as simple as I thought it would be. Because at the time, these Bitcoins were not worth hundreds of quid, right? And even when they hit their high of 700 for Bitcoin, or like $1,000 for each Bitcoin, in my time, Mr. Kirioth, they were worth a couple of quid each, sort of thing. And I remember,
they were not. They were not like.
I think I might have told you about this. No,
amounts that they are now.
So I started to have a lot of problems with the keeping the mining computer running, because what you would do is you would join a mining pool. You wouldn't just mine on your own because that would be like madness. So you join a group of other people who were mining, and you sort of share the profits out, kind of thing. So you've got more power. So you finish bitcoins faster. It was more profitable in a way. So I was making all these bitcoins, but the pools would get DDoSed by enemy pools who wanted to make the money, not you. Your computer, because it was literally running at 100%. I mean, I don't know whether you've seen GPUs running at 100%, especially old Radeon ones. They were fucking mega hot, right? These things were like running massively hot, right? You had to have them in a cool place. When I started doing this, it was fine because it was in the winter. So I put this computer in the loft, okay, where it was freezing cold, right? Because there's jack shit insulation up there, so it's just fucking freezing. The computer was fine. But then the summer comes around, doesn't it? And it's like death. I'm not joking. This thing was falling apart. And it was like, I had some like insane thingy. And at this time, you could see these people who were spending tons of money. And like, there's no way you could compete with them. And of course, the longer the Bitcoin mining goes on, the harder it is to make more Bitcoin. So, you know, it just gets harder and harder and harder. So if you made 10 one month, you'll probably only make 8 the next, and then 6. And then, you know what I mean? Like, unless you keep increasing the power of your mining thing. So it would endlessly, you'd be spending money on it. It's like, oh my God, it was like a stupid hobby for economists, basically. And I can't even remember how I even got onto all of this. But anyway, so my crazy story continues, ladies and gentlemen. And I decided that I'm going to stop doing this now because I could still sell the components I had in this rig, especially the graphics card, because it had like a really shit Celeron CPU. It's like totally shit CPU. I think it had Linux on it and everything. It was just for the fucking graphics cards, right? They were still worth quite a bit. I think I paid about, Christ, isn't there about 400 quid each or something? But I made that money back. Anyway, so I sold it all off and I'm like, nice one. eBayed a lot of them. Jobs are good. And I sat there and I looked at the Bitcoin thing, and it was like, it was called MT Gox at the time, which they've hilariously been done for fraud and they've gone under and everything. Like, the Bitcoin market is terrible. Which is another thing as well. The Bitcoin market is, it was kind of really open to abuse. Like, people were doing shady stuff, and if one shady thing happened, it would wreck the value of the Bitcoins. This is why it's dead volatile. It's like a really dodgy thing to invest in, even now. Like, it was really dodgy. But because I think there were people buying Bitcoins up for like $50 a go, and then they were selling them off for like $100. So it's like, wow, you've made profit, doubled your profit, which is great. But the Bitcoin could quite easily have been suddenly worth $25 instead of 50, and then worth nothing because somebody got hacked. And it's like, holy shit. Anyway, I sold my Bitcoins off, and yeah, I think I bought a car. And I think I bought a bit of something else as well. So I was quite happy. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we fast forward. Miss Kirioth's laughing now. We fast forward, ladies and gentlemen, and
I know I'm not actually laughing at you. I'm laughing at someone else who I remember turning up about the time that you were about to reference, where the value of Bitcoin like boomed. It went insane.
I remember.
It was like,
is this the guy at the skip?
Yeah. It was not.
Let me get to it then. So
yeah, go on.
So about a year ago, I think it was. Well, yeah, December 2013. Even says on this page, right? Cryptocurrency hit a high in December, right? So it went up to, let's just say $1,000, right? So I'm like, Pardon. I remember, like, I just totally didn't pay attention to Bitcoin since like early 2011. I just was like, no. And then I seen this, and then I was like, I see.
You know that.
So I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to tell you how much it would have been worth. But I just like could have bought like a 5-bedroom house or something. So I was like, but I was
on the
like,
upside,
no, you know.
On the upside, well, that's the thing. Like, it could have gone up, or it could have just become worth a penny. And if you hadn't have done anything with it, you'd have just like been completely out of pocket. You at least managed to get something out of it. This poor bastard. I cannot remember how much it was. It was a lot of money. I seem to remember
or something mental.
It was easily like, I think it was like easily £1 million, not dollars as well, like pounds.
Yeah.
And he stored Bitcoin locally as well. It wasn't like on a network. It was, you had a wallet, like a Bitcoin wallet.
Yeah, let me explain that. So what happens is you had a wallet file, right? And you had to protect this like it was the fucking earth, because this is where your Bitcoins were, right? If that was deleted, you would lose your Bitcoins, right? So you'd have this like super protected file, like loads of encryption on it. Because people were hacking, because it was called wallet.dat. So it was like a good idea to sort of hide it and don't call it that. Because if you could get somebody's wallet.dat file and stick that into your Bitcoin wallet, you would have their Bitcoins and you could send them off. And this is the problem with Bitcoin. It's all anonymous, so you wouldn't know. So if I went and robbed Kiri's wallet and gave the coins to me from his computer, he wouldn't know. He would see the transaction, but he don't know where they've gone. Which is why governments had a problem with it for a long time, and that's why this will eventually get around to it. Is kind of good news, because it's like if big companies like Microsoft are starting to accept the payments from bitcoins, it's starting to become more of like a
gaining legitimacy, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, carry on with your story, Mr. Kirioth. It's funny.
But yeah, this guy basically he'd got quite a lot of Bitcoin, as it turned out.
He did,
on a hard drive, on an old hard drive, and he threw the old hard drive out when he threw away a load of old computer stuff, not realizing that in fact the stuff on it might be worth some money at some point. So when it turned out that Bitcoins were worth like $1,000 each, he was like, "Oh shit, where is it? Oh god, I put it in the tip." Now I'm assuming that I'm assuming even like in the US and wherever else in the world, there's going to be somewhere where if you've got like a sofa or electrical equipment, you can go and dump it and they'll take it away. And that, I mean, in the UK, those are just called the tip. Everyone goes the tip once in a while.
Yeah, tip your stuff.
And this guy took his stuff to the tip, and they took it away to a landfill. So, like months and months after he'd thrown this hard drive away, he was sifting through an entire landfill looking for a hard drive because it had like millions of pounds worth of Bitcoin on it. And when he asked them, someone was like, "Okay, well, given how long ago it was, how much do you reckon? How much rubbish do you reckon has come in since then?" And they were like, "Well, he's probably going to be digging through about a foot worth of waste to try and find it." And this is a landfill. It's not just still at the tip, which is like a small area.
No,
it's
a big
proper
hole
landfill
in the ground.
size. I mean, that guy. I mean, as you say, you got like a car out of it. He got nothing but pain, bloke. Nothing but pain and sifting through rubbish for like weeks on end.
I think the story with that guy, he was like a really early adopter of it all. So like he was probably making like 10 Bitcoins a day or something, but they were worth nothing. It's like that, them Doge coins. I don't, the fucking dog thing off Reddit. When they started, you could make them really quick. And there's a load of other ones. There's like Litecoin and stuff like that. And they sort of become worth more because they get like perceived value because they, the sort of effort required to make them gives them the value, and then the value goes up based on the demand, and it's all like economics and stuff, and it goes way over my head. But Bitcoin has always been the big daddy of the cryptocurrency, but it's always been the one that's had shitloads of controversy around it, where, I mean, sort of the controversy I remember with MT Gox is they basically went down with loads of Bitcoins, because what you would do to sell your Bitcoin, you go to like a Bitcoin exchange, right, and say, make an account and go, check how much the Bitcoins are worth, right? So say if they're worth $20 a Bitcoin, and you go, okay, so for whatever reason you want to sell your Bitcoins quick. So you'd say, I'm going to put mine at $19, right? And I'm going to sell 200 Bitcoins. So you put them in, right? And you'd wait for somebody to agree to buy, right? They agree to buy, you do the transaction. Of course, it's all done through this intermediary, which is MT Gox, or was, but they've gone under. So it's like secure. But there is a point when all this happens where MT Gox hold the Bitcoins. Yeah. So you can imagine what happened. And also people were putting Bitcoins, like you could just give them to the, like, sort of like your MT Gox account, and wait to sell them. But they went under with like literally, I think it was hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoins in their system. It's like, what? But there's still no value there because they're in the system. You see what I mean? They've got and it was like, and they went under, and there was like loads of shit. But I bet you now, people are fucking involved in that have probably made some big money. But like I said, I haven't been up on it. But the whole reason, like, I wanted to, oh God, fuck that new Skype. It's brought my little, I hate this new Skype. Anyway, this is interesting news because Bitcoin is it can't be controlled by governments. This is the biggest problem with Bitcoin. Like, the US hated it. I think the start of kind of coming around to it. I don't know. In fact, it's been some time since I've really got into this. But the Bitcoin itself, because it cannot be controlled by a central thing, like there isn't, like, let's say the Bank of England can't go, oh, we're going to increase inflation or whatever. You can't do that to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is decentralized currency. It's just everywhere, and everybody validates it who's using it within the network. So it's like you can't. It's sort of. It's like an anarchist's kind of money, you know what I mean? And in the early days, it was like, oh yeah, people are going on Silk Road and buying drugs and guns and all kinds of stuff with Bitcoin, which they were, because Bitcoin couldn't be tracked. It was an ideal way to sort of do it. And actually, before we stop this, I think, well, we go off onto the next topic. The reason why the Bitcoin boom came around, I think was a result of, was it Crete or Malta? Somewhere their economy collapsed, and it was an island.
Yeah.
Cyprus, maybe. It might have been Cyprus. But their economy fell apart in the middle of like the big global recession. So what people were doing to get their money, because their money was worth nothing and banks were closing, like they were literally not giving the people money, they started to buy Bitcoins, and that's when the Bitcoin value went up, 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 and up. So it was a way of getting money out of the country. You know, like put it in Bitcoins,
Yeah.
send it to somebody else out of the country. Your money's gone. That's fine.
I think it might have been. I think it might have been Cyprus, but for some reason in the back of my head, I keep thinking Greece as well, because Greece
Greece probably had
about
something
the
to do
same
with
time.
it. Yeah, yeah. And Cyprus is near to Greece, isn't it? So that's what. But
Yeah.
yeah, like it was something like that. But if you could have predicted that, you could have probably made a shitload of money.
Well,
But,
yeah.
you know, so it's like whatever. But it's always been interesting to me. Bitcoin has. I always hate it because what it's done to me. But then, like Kiri said, I could have been like the guy at the skip, but I wasn't. So there you go. Also, we call the tip the skip sometimes as well. So there you go. All right, next topic, Mr. Kirioth. Unless you want to say something about that Bitcoin stuff. I mean, I know.
Well, I'll just say that there have been other places that have accepted it for a while.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know Newegg. In fact, it says in the article,
Yeah,
Dell, Newegg,
yeah.
Expedia, and PayPal. They've accepted it for quite some time. But the fact that Microsoft is now doing it, I mean, whether you like it or not, Microsoft is a massive, massive sort of market leader. So the fact that they are now accepting it probably means that we're going to see it become a lot more popular amongst pretty much everyone. Because once one person starts accepting it, a lot of people tend to follow suit, don't they? So
I know. I like the thing with Bitcoin. It's never really. It's not going to take over like traditional currencies because they're too powerful anyway. You know, like the dollar will always be the world currency unless something drastic happens and stuff like that. But the interesting thing with it is, as I said earlier, it's kind of like there is a finite, or there will be a finite amount of Bitcoins in the market, but you can divide them up infinitely. That's the thing. Like you can have 0.0.0.1, and then you can have 0.0.0.0.0.1 or 0.0.0.0.0.1 Bitcoin. And like, so really there's endless slithers of Bitcoin. You can cut them all up when you send them. So you could decide to send like whatever. I mean, I know there's like a lot of hip cafes and things like that in London which would accept Bitcoin payments. Like you could send them from your Bitcoin wallets on your phone to buy your cup of coffee. But of course, the funny thing is, like the coffee that you bought a year ago and paid like zero point 0.1 Bitcoin for, when the Bitcoin was worth, again, I'm just making this up, 50 pence, today might be worth 200 quid. You know, so that coffee shop has made some good business. But on the other hand, it could be less. So that's just the way it works. Whereas if you go in and buy a coffee for £3.50, that £3.50 is going to be worth that much for some time to come, really. You know, I mean, how long does it take for actual money to change? It's years, isn't it? It's like, it's the old shit, like when you see Queen Victoria used to give her handmaidens, right, £1,000 when they married. Now, imagine how much that would be worth today. That's probably like 10 million quid or something, you know, because the inflation has gone over that period of time. But with Bitcoin, that can happen in a day. That's why it's a bit dodgy. Anyway, go away Bitcoin, never return. We're not reading this article here because this is the Verge thing and it's the same deal. I prefer the BBC.
It's not as good because it's BBC's better.
Yeah, BBC, BBC. I just don't want to pay my television license. Fuck you, BBC. Right.
No one does.
Next, we've got The Witcher, Mr. 3. Mr. Kirioth. Witcher 3. Mr. 3?
What?
Give it me. Give it me.
It's
What's
been
the
delayed
Witcher
again,
situation?
son. It's been delayed again.
Hmm.
Now, let me see. It will now be appearing May 19th, 2015, which that's quite a long way off, really.
Yeah.
However, they have explained themselves. They've said, they made an announcement where they said it's delayed again. Sorry about that. The sheer size and complexity of The Witcher, key features of the title, have had a decisive impact on production. Now, nearing the end of our work, we see many details that need to be corrected. When we release the most important game in our studio's history, we must be absolutely sure that we did everything we could to limit any bugs to a level that will allow you to enjoy the game thoroughly. I can't read today for some reason. We owe you an apology. We set the release date too hastily. It's a hard lesson, one to take to heart for the future. We know what we want to do to make Wild Hunt one of the best RPGs you will ever play, and we continue to work hard to achieve just that. So we apologise and ask for your trust. Now,
Okay.
people have complained about this. There's been kind of a mixed reaction. There seems to be people going, well, okay, I prefer they take their time and come out with something amazing. And people going, what the fuck is going on? How can they delay it again? Do they not know what they're doing? right now, I'm in the camp of I prefer them to take the time because let's just take an example here. Let's just take a small example of a company that we know and love. You know, everyone likes them. It begins with a U, has soft at the end. You know, they're wholesome providers of completed, fully
Polished
working computer games, highly polished products. Yeah.
to levels Mr. Sheen
Now,
could only dream about.
I would much prefer to see CD Projekt Red become a studio who takes their time, works as hard as they possibly can, and delays stuff when they have to produce a fantastic game, than see them become a Ubisoft where something ships in a deplorable state and just winds up being a horror show for everyone involved. I do not want to see The Witcher. Given that The Witcher 1 was good, it was a good game. The Witcher 2 was far better than The Witcher 1. It was a vast improvement. It was very well done. I struggle to think of any massive game breaking bugs or problems that it had. I can't think
They
of any off the
did.
top of my
No,
head, but
they did have like performance issues and stuff. Like the thing with CD Projekt Red is they sort of came into a niche which nobody really has been in the RPG market. But when they hit with The Witcher and The Witcher 2, it's an adult RPG. It is like
yeah,
it deals with sex, it deals with violence, it deals with drugs, it deals with everything, and it's like it's not none of this like beating around the bush. It's like it goes in and it goes in hard. It's like, whoa, what is going on here? There's rape, there's murder, there's
yeah,
everything. It's like what you would expect a medieval kind of world to be like. There's no law really. It's
yeah,
the people that just do whatever they like, and it's dodgy. Witcher One was it was a bit iffy, but it was still playable and it did look dated when it came out. But you've got to understand, CD Projekt Red, they're not a massive company. They are much bigger now. I
no,
think they own GOG or GOG or GOG own them. There's definitely a relationship
yeah,
with them. But they then made The Witcher 2, which had an amazing graphics engine for the time. It was a little bit dodgy with performance, but they did fix that. And I really enjoyed that. It's one of my favorite RPG games ever. That
yeah.
is, again, it was like a
It's
linear
really
game.
really good.
Yeah, but it's like it's very adult, and I like that. It was like real. It's not messing about with all kinds of crap. And then, like you kind of were about to hit there, Mr. Kirioth. Where do they sort of go? Like after you've done The Witcher 2, where do you go now for Witcher 3? Like this is the last Witcher game with Geralt of Rivia, or Geralt, however the hell you want to pronounce it, the main character, the Witcher himself. The big thing is it's a massive open world game. That is like the difference, right?
Yeah,
Witcher 2 was not. Witcher was not. Witcher 3 is going to be this massive game, massive game. So when they say, we're this is our biggest game and we really need to not rush this out the door, what you were saying about Ubisoft, I think is a good point, because Ubisoft can afford to throw shit out the door, because Ubisoft have got a
yeah,
treadmill of shit production. It's just like, I mean, what they've just got game after game. I mean, we're even going to talk about a new Ubisoft game, which is actually, well, not a remake of a game in a moment, which is good. But they've got that much stuff coming through the doors. It's like, yeah, Watch Dogs was shit, bloke, but then it's fine because we can wash that away with something else, and then something else, and it's like,
yeah.
and then something else, and then look at them next year. They've got uh, uh, what is it? Rainbow Six. I can't forget what it's called, but the new Rainbow Six game. They've got The Division. They've got all of this, and it's like we've just got loads of games. Look at the Crew that just released. They just slam stuff. All of it's never finished when it launches, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because there's another game. There's another game. These guys, they can't afford to do that, because if they release a game and it's a piece of shit, then it's like, well, that's all they've been working on. So, fucking what? You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
going
I
to
mean
really damage them.
there is that, but to be honest, I kind of want it to be a case of they want it to
Hang on.
work
Let me
as
just
well.
stop. It's also releasing on all the consoles as well. This is. I think they've never
Yeah,
done that before as well. So that would add extra workload to them.
but I want to see a company like a developer publisher who are prepared to sit there and tell people you're going to be disappointed at this news, but the game is not coming out yet because we don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
We need to work on it more. I don't understand people who complain about that, because the amount of backlash that we see against Ubisoft, against EA, against Activision, against everybody when games just come out broken. I mean, how much hate was there for Battlefield 4 when that just was like broken when it came out? How much hate was there for Watch Dogs, for Assassin's Creed?
I'm a good
Why?
I'm a good study bloke for this. So Battlefield 4, is a good example, right? Because Battlefield 4 came out, piece of shit, and I just fucked it off. I don't play the game. Yeah, you know what? Battlefield 4,
Yeah.
from what I've been told and what I've seen now, it's actually pretty fucking good. But I'm like, well, fuck that. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I suppose I've
Exactly.
already bought
I mean,
the game, so you could say, well, Star, you've already paid for it. But I haven't bought their fucking season pass crap, which I would have done if the game worked.
yeah. It's like I'm never. I don't think I'm ever going to complain when someone says we want this game to be as good as we can possibly make it, so it's being delayed. Especially when it's something like Witcher 3, because you're right. This has got to be good. Like this has got to be really fucking good because they've been working on it for so long, and it's like the only thing they're working on. But at the same time, I just don't understand people who are like, oh no, I just want it now. It's like, so you want a broken game that won't run properly now? You're the fucking problem. Like people who just
Yeah.
demand it. Oh, you said you release it now, so give it to me now. You're the issue with fucking video games because if you sat there and went, this is a broken piece of shit and I'm not going to play it, fix it, then they probably wouldn't try and release broken pieces of shit in the first place. But instead, the fan base sits there like clamoring and ignoring the fact that actually, if you waited just a little bit longer, you'd have a better experience. And instead, it's just now, 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 now. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, have it now. Oh, by the way, it doesn't work, but you wanted it, so there you go.
People remember a totally shit launch, but they will not remember a delay. This is the thing. This is what I would be saying if I was working for CD Project Red. I'd be like, thing is, guys, if we delay this for like we could launch, but they know all devs know what's wrong with the game. We've got this bug, we've got that bug. You know, this is going to cause problems. These systems aren't going to be able to run it properly. There's going to be FPS issues, blah blah blah, and all of this stuff. We're going to have to cut back on this feature, that feature, but we can get it out the door. People will remember if, you know, all it takes, especially in this day and age, is one YouTube video to just blow up of some stupid bug, like, you know, the Assassin's Creed one with a face missing. That blows up, that game's in the bin. It's like, well,
and that is now any time that game is talked about since then. That's that is the picture at the top of every Assassin's Creed article relating to bug fixes, relating to the release. It is always that picture of the guy like with his face missing, and it will continue to be that probably far into the future. Even when we see news about the next Assassin's Creed game, it's going to be like. And of course, we all remember Unity because it was broken at launch, and there will be that fucking picture again. Now, if you're a fan of The Witcher, if you're a fan of what CD Projekt Red do with that series, do you want to have that for the game? Or would you prefer to wait a bit longer and have something that works? Because that's what it boils down to.
And it's also a massive PR disaster.
Good? It's up to you.
The disaster is massive from Ubisoft.
They're not idiots. They're not... Like,
I don't think Ubisoft are idiots, but Ubisoft are they're a totally different thing. They're like a board-driven, shareholder-driven outfit. So it's like, this game's got to launch, this game's got to launch. There's no like leeway. It's like, oh God, you know, you don't know what, to use to coin a phrase from Half-Life, there are unforeseen consequences from like game development. It's not an easy thing. It isn't like just make a game. There it is. There's loads of different systems interacting with each other. One can have an unforeseen consequence when it acts with another one, and then it all goes to shit, but then suddenly you need more time. CD Projekt Red, I've got a decision to make. They either they launch it on the 24th of February, which would have been a nice birthday present for me, but they're not. Or they delay it for, is it a 2-month delay or a 3-month delay? Something like that, till May.
February, March, April, May. So
3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, it's just under 3, isn't it, if it's the 19th of... Yeah. So they've said we probably need this much more time to get it finished. I wouldn't be surprised if they say we need more time, because they've done this. This isn't the first time this game's been delayed. They have said, though, maybe it was a case of them being a little bit, not immature, but like not as experienced with this type of thing.
Ambitious.
Ambitious
is used for stuff like that.
It's not. It's stupidity.
It's
really.
We can do this, but then they do it, and it's like, well, we can, but not in the timescale we've set ourselves. It's like we've piled on more than we can actually deal with right now.
Yeah, I remember Jesse Cox did some sort of show that they do, like they do the GOG thing. So GOG, they must own GOG. I think CD Projekt own GOG.
I think they own
some
GOG.
sort of thing like that. They're both connected. He did the GOG thing where they do like a little kind of like an Apple keynote thing. They always talk about CD Projekt games there, and they talk about The Witcher, and they're announcing the collector's edition and all of this and what you're going to get and showing off a bit of the game, and it's like, wow, this looks great. Too early. That was way too early, because like the game, if the game isn't coming out for over a year after that point, but okay, they said it was going to come out earlier, and then they delayed it and they delayed it again. They're sort of like, they're showing that they're a bit amateur when it comes down to actually promoting stuff and saying, you know, again, it goes back to this thing of like I said, it would be and like we agreed on, it would be a PR disaster if they did launch the game and it had some like stupid bug and somebody makes a video of like, I don't know, Geralt's face fucking is in his chest or
Fell
something.
off.
I don't know. Yeah, his head is like in the sky or something ridiculous. Or when he goes to swing his sword, his arm just extends like the fucking Elastic Woman from Fantastic Four, whatever she's called. Some shit like that happens. It's like
Yeah.
people make a video and it goes out and it's all over the place. It happened with Battlefield 4. Again, like you brought that up, that had like performance issues like you would not believe, and it was just like, this game's terrible. What the fuck is going on here? Blah blah blah. What's all this shit? People don't forget about that, and suddenly you lose a lot of potential buyers. So really, they only had one option here, and that was to delay it. Like you said, though, it is stupid how some people react to delays, because I'm of the mind of I'm just thinking, well, thing is, if the game would be shit on launch, why would I want to play it? It's like this game you can see advertised here, guys, Far Cry 4. That has had a patch. I think this was yesterday. You can work that out if you're watching this video on whatever date. But that had a patch now where suddenly, if you were playing the game on medium, even on like a high-end rig, this is PC obviously, you would get terrible FPS drops all the time. But now you can play it at 120 FPS easily with like a decent high-end rig on ultra settings, and it's fine. It's like, well, that's great, but that game has been out for weeks now, and I'm like, what? Sure, it'll be a good game to pick up in the sales, but that's not what a company like CD Projekt want. They do not want to make a AAA game, which is costing millions to develop, for you to just sit there and go, well, you're launching it with shit, I'll come back next year in the Steam sales and get it for $10. That is not going to make them money.
Yeah.
That is just not going to make them money, and they're going to fuck themselves royally if they do that.
The thing is, if it releases on the 19th of May, if they don't push it back, if it releases on the 19th of May and it's broken and doesn't work and stuff's missing, then by all means, complain away. You've got every right to complain about that point.
Yeah.
If it releases and it's fine and it's stunning and it just works out of the box, then exactly what harm has come to you by having to wait an extra couple of months? It's not nothing. This is the thing as well. The amount of overreaction that comes from stuff like this is baffling, because it's just. I hate using the phrase, like the word entitlement in relation to gaming, because it's thrown around far too much. Because people use it to mean everything, whereas in some cases, entitlement you are entitled to some things. If you pay for a game, you're entitled for that game to work. That's how it works. You've exchanged money for a service. But at the same time, there are people who seem to feel entitled to games like just now, straight away. Just give it to me now. And that's a problem just for everybody involved, because these are the same people who demand the game straight away, and then it gets to them and they load it up and it doesn't work, and then they go, oh, this is shit. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways. You know what I mean? You cannot like sit there and bitch and moan about the fact that you're not getting what you want right now because you want it now. And then when you do get it right now, after they've said, after it's been like, are you sure this is going to work? It's like, oh yeah, but it doesn't work. Well, no, that's because they have been forced to bring it out. If everyone just sort of chilled out and calmed down, if there was some sort of like mindset that could be adopted where it's like, we don't have to push this game out like right now, we could spend a little bit longer on it, maybe we'd have a better experience as consumers all round, possibly. I don't know.
I find it hard to believe that any developer, even for any company, even like you can say people like Ubisoft and EA, would sit there and would happily be like, I've worked on this project for 2 years, I'm fine releasing it in a shit state. There's no way that it's, it must be really
I have
interesting.
trouble believing that that's the case.
Yeah, it must be really interesting that there's to be a fly on the wall, and just like, because you can imagine what would happen. They come in and it's like, we need a meeting. So the project leads come in and it's like, okay, these are the money men, and it's like, well, okay, so your game's going to launch on Christmas Day. I don't know why you launch a game on Christmas Day. So yeah, you can do that. And you're like, well, actually, we're going to need about 2 or 3 more months to get it finished. That's not an option. So we're launching on Christmas Day, and you're like, but what? But it'll get, there'll be loads of negative PR, which is probably what happened with the Assassin's Creed. Is it Ubisoft Montreal or something like that, the Canadian based place who did it?
Yeah, I think it was Montreal have been making them so far, and Quebec is going to be doing the next one. They've been working on it for a couple of years, but I think Montreal's done pretty much all of them up till this point, and Quebec's just helped with certain things. It could be the other way around. I'm pretty sure it's that way. But the thing is as well, I mean, multiple people have said it about Assassin's Creed. The actual city they built, the parish that they constructed for that game, and when it's working, when the crowds are there when they should be, and when when your guy's face doesn't fall off in cutscenes. You can tell that people have put a lot of work into that. Like
Yeah.
it's not it sounds daft, but it feels half-arsed because bits are broken, but at the same time, it feels like a lot of love's gone into it. And the people who sit there day in, day out making these games and making something that, frankly, when you actually go round and look, is so detailed and so full of life and is brought together so well, you can't help but feel pretty fucking sorry for them that
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
basically been forced to launch it. And it's like this is a major entry into like their portfolio of personal work. They want to be able to say, I worked on that game. And instead, it's like, yeah, I worked on that game. Why? Not because they are fucking incompetent, but because the time scale is not big enough for a game of that scope
And
to be made.
this is why a lot of them become indie devs, because it's like I've got an idea and I want to make a product that actually fucking works, and it's
yeah,
not like some
you don't have
piece
to
of
deal
shit.
with that shit.
Yeah, I mean, like you said with their portfolios and stuff. I mean, if you were like an environment design chap or lady or whatever, and you were involved in the construction of Paris, I thought it looked pretty good. So you could say, well, there you go, that looks really good. But the game itself is a piece of shit and it's broke. You could maybe say, well, it's not necessarily that much of a problem towards you. It obviously is, because the finished product's crap. You know, to compare it to
Yeah.
like a car. If you look at like, if you've got people who produce the body of the car and they make this amazing body, you know, the bodywork's awesome, the wheels, the alloys look amazing, the headlights look amazing, the interior looks awesome, but the people working on the
Yeah.
engine have like made a piece of shit, or they haven't made a piece of shit. It's nearly finished, but then the money man comes in. It's like, we've got to send inside the door, but you're like, this is supposed to be a 10-liter engine, but we've only installed 2 liters so far. This is not how you build an engine, by the way. And then it's like, when it don't matter, it's got to go out, and you're like, no. So then the engine's shit, but everything else looks nice. It's that kind of thing. It's like, there needs to be like, what, this is like a fucking real big problem with the gaming industry at the moment, especially AAA games. And what's more worrying about this is most people who buy these games don't seem to give a shit anyway, and happily like, oh, it's good, it's fun, I enjoy it. If you accept a company pumping games out and releasing them on a time frame, because let's be honest, these companies only respond to money markets, right? Financial markets and stocks and shares and company values. If they are releasing games rapidly, Ubisoft release a ton of games a year. EA does, okay? But EA's getting a lot better, though. But Ubisoft have become the new EA recently. They're releasing a ton of games. They're shit, they're broken. You go out and buy them. They look at their profits, and it's like, well, yeah, we pushed this game forward. You told us you needed a couple more months to finish it, which meant we would have missed this release date, and it would have been too close to the release date of another game. We've actually made $100 million in profit off this. So this has been really good, guys. So the money man then turns up to the next people at the division and says, hey guys, you're releasing on Christmas Day. I don't know why I'm obsessed with this. That's actually Kirioth's birthday as well, the poor bastard growing up. He had years of Christmas birthday cards.
Double presents. Yeah.
But it's not really double, it's just one. And it's like,
oh, it was double.
You. Oh,
I got a Christmas present and a birthday present on the same day, but everyone was like, "Oh, the poor kid only gets one day." So I had a birthday party during the summer and got presents then as well. I got an extra set.
it was a master stroke. Oh god, I've lost what I was saying. But yeah. So like, I mean, if if it happens with a division and then they just launch it and it's crap, but people still buy it up, it's like yeah. And actually, while we're on this as well, I just want to touch on the PlayStation Experience thing, which was the Nathan Drake thing. I'm not going to let you talk, Mr. Kirioth. I'm just literally going to spend 30 seconds on this. There's a trailer for Uncharted 4, and it looks quite good, right? It's got loads of nice lighting effects and stuff like that. I bet you that will not be the case when the game launches. But anyway, there'll probably be a hotfix on that. So, next topic we've got, Mr. Kirioth, is this, which is you're looking at a tweet from Lucas Pope, who I said is the Papers, Please guy, and you can see there's a lot of retweets and favorites of this because, it's actually going to be on iOS, okay? And also, this game, Heroes 3, or Heroes Might and Magic. I always call it Heroes of Might and Magic, but it's not of. It's just Heroes Might and Magic. But it always gets me. But Restoration of Arathia will be on the iPad as well. So, this is an interesting thing because I want to talk about sort of iPad games, Mr. Kirioth, and where they're going. Like, I mean, hell, we know Papers, Please was an amazing game.
It was.
Yeah,
and it was actually, and the thing is as well, I know usually you'd see this as an insult coming from this channel, but it's also kind of perfectly suited for tablets and iPads and mobile gaming as well, really, when you look at it, because essentially all you're doing is clicking and dragging. That's not, no, it's not got the world's most complicated
No,
control
no,
system.
no.
So, but yeah, I'm kind of happy about this because I remember something, right? I remember something from this is a long time ago. It might have been a year, maybe two. I can't even remember whether this was a hotfix topic or whether it was a game show topic when we used to do game show. And this was Deus Ex, the mobile game that was going to be on iPad.
Yeah, I remember talking about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Is
everyone
it The
lost
Fall
their shit
or
because
something? Was it called The
yeah,
Fall?
they thought it was
Yeah.
going to be a follow up, and it turned out to just be set in the same universe, like same title.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was like, well, people wondering why it was being marketed to the people who bought Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I was like, well, who the fuck else are they going to market it to? And why are we hating on this anyway? Because this is another avenue for decent game. Now, it turned out that that game actually was shit. So I jumped the gun on saying that it could be decent. But at the time, my basic point was it would be nice if we start seeing actual games on these devices. I mean, I've got an iPad. My wife's got a Nexus 7. To be able to sit down and play something on a train downstairs, get like when you can't get to sleep at 2 a.m., load up a game on the iPad or something that isn't fucking Candy Crush or some, bullshit mobile pay millions of dollars just to get to level 4 games. I thought that was when we talked about Deus Ex, that was my main thing. I was like, could this be the start of something where we actually get decent games on other device on handheld devices? And this to me is just suggesting that yeah, it's actually happened now. I mean, we've already got stuff like Hearthstone, which is
Well, I mean, if we
fantastic on
look
the
at it,
iPad.
if we look at what we've got, so we've got like FTL, we've got Hearthstone. There are some others as well, which are from mobile developers, which are pretty good. Space Hulk isn't too bad either. I mean, that's just it's just a direct port of the PC game. There's nothing really any different. There's a ton of other stuff as well. I mean, even we've been playing a bit of Warhammer Armageddon, which is from Slytherin. But they've got a lot of games on iPad, which would work quite well because it's just hex-based strategy games. There are a lot of decent games. But when I see things like this, Papers, Please, it does make me smile because I'm like, that is a game. That is a good game. This Lucas Pope is just an indie dev, and he's going to make probably way more money off the iOS launch of this game than he will off the PC launch. I'm just going to throw that out right away, probably, because people with the thing with. I mean, I looked into this a while ago, but the thing with like mobile development between one of the main differences between Android and iOS is people spend money on iOS. Android, they don't.
Yeah.
They may spend some money. I mean, hell, you've got a Nexus 7, haven't you? Well, Kat has, and you've got an iPad. But I bet you've spent more money on your iPad than she has on a Nexus thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can list the things that I've got on the iPad, which is I've got FTL on the iPad. I've got Space Hulk. I downloaded Space Wolf. I haven't spent any money on it, but I've played it a bit.
That's
but there is an
not
option
bad.
to do that if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Minecraft. The only thing that she's got on her Nexus 7 is Minecraft Pocket Edition, which I've got on the iPad as well. Which surprisingly is actually quite good. I never thought I'd say that. But
it is.
It's been done really well. And Worms Armageddon, I want to say.
Yeah.
And that's it. Now, I constantly look for new stuff, but I've spent more, I've bought more games. I mean, I've got other stuff that I can't remember off the top of my head that I just have played through and then I've got rid of. Like Infinity Blade as well. I've downloaded
Infinity
and played
Blade,
that through.
Yeah.
Again, quite a good game. And
there's been studies that have been done. Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter, bloke, because the studies that have been done with people who buy it, because iOS devices are really expensive. Generally, they've got more cash to throw around on these things, so they basically buy more shit. That's why if you're ever going to launch a game, always do it on iOS first. I mean, look at Blizzard; they launched fucking Hearthstone on iOS first. What does that tell you?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe there's
also,
a technical reason, but that's what I want to think.
There's something else where the iPad store is far better regulated than the Android store.
Oh yeah.
It just is. I mean, the Google Play Store. It's a horror show. It's such a fucking mess. There's copyright infringements everywhere. There's just out and out copies of popular games.
Minecraft clones.
Yeah, it's just horrendous. And that stuff, you might get it occasionally on the iTunes store, on the App Store, but they don't last long. and then they're gone.
You know,
They're a lot more heavily moderated,
you know what I
and
think's
that, in a
interesting
way,
as well.
encourages you to spend because it's like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
go to the App Store, it's like I know that this is probably going to be legitimate. I shall try it. I shall buy it. If you go to the Android store, you see something, you go, I don't know what the fuck this is. It's one entry in a list of 500 titles that all look exactly the same. I'm not paying for this because I don't know what the fuck's going on. And you don't do it. I mean, Kat has done that. She's looked for games and she's gone, I don't know which of these is what I'm actually looking for. And she showed it to me, and I've just got, I don't know. I
Yeah.
literally cannot help you. There's a page full of this shit and it all looks the same. I just don't do it. Don't buy it. It'll just be a rip off. And so she doesn't. And it's just,
Do you think though,
it,
with Papers, Please? So, all right, this is like maybe going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it stays within the topic. So, let's talk about me, and let's talk about my PlayStation 4, and let's talk about my PC. If a game comes out on my PC, well, comes out and it's on PC, I will not get the PS4 version. I will just not get it because I'm like,
yeah,
I will play it on the PC, right? With my iPad though, right? I have got like FTL. I've got FTL on my computer. I've got Hearthstone. Now, okay, Hearthstone's free, but obviously you still pay for the packs. But I've got that on my iPad. I think the iPad is like, I'm going to say tablets. Let's just say tablets in general. They're better than phones because they've got bigger screens. They're such like an untapped gaming market that they do really need to be sorted out with good releases. And Papers, Please, I will totally buy this on my iPad.
yeah,
Because it's
absolutely.
like, but I've got the game and I could play it right now. But I would still buy it on my iPad because there are sometimes it is much nicer to play a game when you're not sitting in front of your computer, and some games do work better than that. FTL, I think that works pretty well. The only thing that annoys me about FTL is it does obscure a little bit of the UI when you're using the weapons and stuff, whereas it doesn't on the PC. But it is still playable and it's still the same FTL like experience. And the Vita is the same thing as well. Binding of Isaac is fucking amazing on the Vita. It's really good. I'm going to say it's better than the PC version, right? Just because of the way it controls. It's got the two thumbsticks. It's great. It's like, woo. I've lost it.
Gotta find it now.
No, there it is. It's over there. It's on that. See my seat thing? You can't see it, but it's over there, right, just in the corner. But that's where I'll sit and play it. So it's like that's chill out. It's great. It's good. So
Yeah,
I'm happy that this is happening, and I think it's good. And we've actually got another game, Mr. Kirioth.
I will say though, that in a way, it's kind of, I think it'll do well because it's already got an established market, and I mean, there's two guaranteed sales already just from the two people doing this video.
That's only going to keep him bankrolled, is it?
But it's like at the same time, Papers, Please is not it's not a standard concept. It's not something that you would just kind of be like, yeah, okay, I'll pay. What's Papers, Please? I'll just buy it and find out. It's a very different concept for a game, and it's unlike anything else that you'll find on
my granddad
on iOS.
My granddad would play Papers. He would play it, bloke. He's got an iPad and he would play Papers, Please. I'm telling you, and he's like getting on for 80 odd. He would play that. He would, but he wouldn't play on the PC because he don't know how to use one. But he does play games on his thing.
Yeah.
He'll do like crossword stuff and things like that. But that would be an interesting thing to him. Or at least I think it would. Because it's like an abstract thing. It's not like a shooter or something. It's like
that's the thing. I mean, I've just said a downside to it is that there's not really anything else like it on the iPad. But actually, I'm not sure that's a downside. I think it's probably an upside, isn't it? Because it's a very different concept for a game, and you are unlikely to find anything remotely similar to it at this point. So if it catches your fancy, you're just going to try it.
I'm just looking at my iPad. That's why I just ran over there to get my iPad. I mean, we've got the Telltale games as well. We forgot to mention them. They're actually on iPad. So the Game of Thrones, I think this is Telltale's Game of Thrones. Let me just check. Yeah, and this it's £2.99, right? And it's Game of Thrones, a Telltale series, iPad edition, and I'm pretty sure this is the same game that is on the PC. Yeah, it's like 760 odd megs download, so it'll be the same game. Those games, perfectly fine, and I bet you they sell a shitload. In fact, they're like number 2 on the best games list. Number 1 is Peggle Blast, which, well, it's Peggle. But then you get things like this Bean Dream. It's like Bean Dream? Oh, Bean Dream is a fucking Angry Birds clone. Well, that is shit. The Longest Journey remastered. That's a proper game. £5. That's on the iStore. So it's already starting to happen. I mean, Game of Thrones, you've got The Longest Journey, but then you've got Roller Polar, which is a bear, polar bear rolling, and it's just a shit game, you know. I mean, obviously, I'm just throwing these out. I mean, it might be a good game, but it doesn't. It's not using this platform how it should be used. It's just like a pointless game because they know they'll probably sell well, and that's it. But there's another game, Mr. Kirioth. There's another game coming out, and that is this. That is Heroes of Might. No, Heroes, Might and Magic, not of. But I'm always going to call it.
I would say of as well.
Yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic. Or the other one was Heroes of Mighty Magic, which is what I call it. Restoration of Arathia, so Heroes 3, is coming out on the iPad, and I think it's in January. This is an amazing game, ladies and gentlemen. This is like an awesome game. I used to play this with my sister, right? We used to sit there and we used to take it in turns playing this game. It was fucking amazing. I had a friend, okay, who we bought the game from Woolies, if you even know what Woolies is, ladies and gentlemen. This was the shop in the UK. That is like 10 years ago, it's fucking went bankrupt, and it's just a website now. I think they just do online stuff, but they don't have any shops. He bought all of like the expansion packs, and the expansion packs for this were not like, they were like DLC before DLC was a thing. They didn't really add any new shit. There was some new bits and pieces, but they would just give you like a new campaign or quest to go through. But this is an amazing game. This is just awesome. There isn't really anything like this. Well, all there is, there's the King's Bounty series, which you could play. But this is just awesome. And for this to be on iPad, it would work totally fine. So you can see the big screenshot I've got up here, guys. You would just like click on your, whatever army you've got. So the horse is like a representation of your hero, who leads whatever army they've got. You click on her, move her down here. You can visit all of these locations, which would give you. This is the subterranean entrance, but all of these other locations, like the chest of gold, you could even take. You could take gold or experience to level up your character. This tower, you could go over to that, and you can see all the sites. It would work. Absolutely, I'm going to sneeze. Holy! It would work amazing with touch, and it's such like I think this is great. And I'm like, this is awesome, and this is the sort of thing I want to see on the iPad. Is what's that dungeon crawling game?
Oh, are you thinking Legends of Grimrock?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. Legends of Grimrock. Is that on iPad? But it isn't. But that's something that would work good on an iPad as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, talk about Heroes.
Yeah, I think with Papers, Please, Heroes, I mean, there are obviously other games that could make the leap, and it'd be nice if they did. It'd be nice to see, especially, I guess, kind of the older kind of turn-based games would be ideal for iPad. It'd be nice if we sort of started to see companies being a bit more, I wouldn't even say brave with it, because they don't need to be brave, because the number of people who will buy Heroes out of like nostalgia attack alone,
this will do well.
It's probably worth them doing it.
This will do really well. This will be like, I will buy this. Right. Well, I say buy it. Ubisoft have probably sent it me, but I would buy this game. Right. This is something I would get, because I would, I use my iPad a shitload. So I would totally sit there and play this. Yeah, you could say we could play it on your PC, and like I said at the start of this, I have made a video where I show the HD mod for the PC version, which is fine. It's totally playable. But it is. Oh, it's actually coming out on the Google Play Store as well. But this is this is good. This is a good move. This is a good way of using an old IP to make money from it. I mean, I calling it HD and pissing. I'm not going to play this video just in case we get screwed over. But this video just shows you them redesigning the sprites. Where there was actually a post on NeoGAF which blew up yesterday.
that was pretty funny.
I don't think it was real. Yeah, I don't have it up though.
Yeah, I think it.
Go on.
I don't think it was anything malicious off Ubisoft. I think it was just a mistake. But essentially, they posted pictures of what the characters will look like with the HD remake and what the characters used to look like. Unfortunately, the characters that I think they took like the smallest sprites and then blew them up. So they were pixelated as hell, like really badly.
Yeah, like way worse than they were in the game.
It looked dreadful, way worse than it actually was. So, of course, that just prompted an entire thread of people taking like the original Lara Croft and putting her next to the one from the new game Osiris. I'm saying like Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 4, Tomb Raider Osiris on the PlayStation 3. Just a load of
No,
comparisons.
there was the
like that.
Elite
It was
Dangerous
funny.
one, wasn't it? Like Elite Dangerous 1080p was
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous, and Elite Dangerous 480 was like Elite, the old one. Yeah, I think they made a mistake. I mean, if that was proven to be like if it wasn't a mistake, that would be we would be slamming them real bad in the hotfix. But we'll let them off. But I think it's a good idea, and there's a ton of other games really that would work like this.
Yeah.
You know, Hell Theme Hospital, that'd be fucking cool. Is that even on here? Oh my god,
I would play Theme Hospital on the iPad. Check for Alpha Centauri as well. If Alpha Centauri got some sort of HD remake and put on the iPad, you would never see me again.
I think Theme
I wouldn't even
Hospital
get
is.
out of bed.
No,
I'd just lie there.
No, it's not. But something called Hollywood Hospital is.
God.
But yeah,
No, cheap rip-off, not interested.
You know, like that. There's a lot of like old games out there which would look, I mean, let's face it, these iPads and tablets of today are quite powerful. I mean, they're more powerful than last gen consoles, and they're probably getting close to the current gen ones, to be honest. But you know, there is a lot of stuff, and I hope this is like we're gonna see more of this. Because I think companies.
It's the start of something amazing.
Well, the money men. Talk about the money men. They're going to be happy with this, surely, because they're not having to do anything. They're just getting a game, and they're fucking using minimal. Again, I don't understand why they've felt the need to redo the sprites, but they're just getting a game, making it work on a different operating system, and they've. You know, a lot of the work's already done there, sort of thing. You know, the game's made. You just have to adapt it, which, you know, still might be quite complicated. But you're not actually where's development cost? And there's none. You know, it's a minimal project cost wise for a massive return. And hopefully, when this pops up and they sell a shitload, I think you'll probably see like, oh god, let's do more. I mean, I don't know what IPs Ubisoft own, but there's probably loads of old games which they could easily stick onto an iPad. And like you said, especially turn-based stuff, that works quite well. When it's like FPS shit, that's absolutely terrible on iPads.
I don't.
And stuff.
I think at this point, I'm fairly convinced that people should just stop attempting to make FPS.
I think they're shit as well.
Especially, you know what? I wouldn't mind racing games if you just had fucking buttons on either side for turning left and right. Like some way.
It's all this shit. It's all like this. Do this as you're driving.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I know people are going to slam me for this, but personally, my eyes don't work that way. I can't just fucking
driving a car don't
around.
work that way. You know, when you drive a car, bloke, does the fucking windscreen go like this?
yeah, you don't sit there going. You just fucking turn. FPS and racing games, they can fuck off. But like actual turn-based strategy, I mean, it's tailor-made for this kind of thing. Well, no, it's not tailor-made. The pads have been tailor-made for it to work inadvertently, but you could do any of them. You could do anything.
It's like you're a commander. This is what makes it so good. It's like you're the general, you know, looking at the table, and it's like, yes, you there. It's like that. It's like a board game. You know, it's like
if Civ 5, was on iPad,
that would be a killer.
That would be absolutely amazing.
That would be
I still don't,
a good move.
And I still don't understand why they haven't fucking done it, because they've made it touchscreen compatible for Windows 8. There's an option when you load the fucking game up. It's like, do I need a touchscreen? I mean, it's grayed out for me because I don't have a touchscreen, funnily enough. But the option's already there, so
Who actually has a touchscreen monitor? That's what I want to know.
No one. I don't.
No, I know.
Understand why
it's the old grannies that go into PC World and get sold a stupid touchscreen television thing. Yeah, but you're totally right. You're totally
want to store pictures? Here's a £2,000 Dell Alienware thing. It's like, okay, dear.
You want to browse the internet? Yes. You'll need an eye track R system thing and a fucking Oculus Rift. All right, so we're happy with this, and we think that this could be good. So yeah, the last thing we're going to talk about is Destiny, and we sort of touched a little bit on this. With you, kind of like summed it up, like Destiny. I mean, I went on the TGS podcast tonight, and they were asking me about Destiny, and I was like, I don't know what it is. I can't explain it to you, but I've just been playing this game. But it goes against every fiber of my being. It's a console FPS game locked at 30 FPS and what? And it's just like repetitive and what? But I don't know. I still can't explain it. But we liked it, and I've probably paid it for about 100 hours, bro. It's probably something stupid like that. It doesn't. track kill. Maybe it does. I don't know. But it's ludicrous. Like that would be including the betas as well because I played them quite a lot.
Yeah.
Last time I turned on my PS4 was to play this, and that's a long time ago, Mr. PS4. You ain't been turned on since. But we know it had a load of problems. So it had like things like there wasn't enough content. You got to the end and then you grinded your light levels up, which was fucking boring, I have to say.
Yeah.
Which I think they've added
really
new stuff
boring.
in. And to sort of combat that a little bit. I remember they had the Queen thing from the Reef, but that was shit. And it was like, why would you do that? It was boring.
Because that was just the same missions again.
Yeah,
And
there was nothing
that's
new.
the problem. It was always
Yeah.
the same missions over and over. And the thing is that they released the raid and it was beaten in like 10 hours or something. Was
Yeah,
it 10
which is
hours
what
or was it 11 hours?
Um,
And then this new one was released and it was beaten pretty much just as quickly. And the thing is, they said in the article that it was beaten by like, I think it was 4 level 29s and 2 level 30s. That's not right. It was actually beaten by, it was 6 level 30s and 1 level 31 because they subbed one of them out. Because they had 581 deaths in total. And they couldn't quite do it. So they subbed out level 30 for level 31. It's just at the end, when they equipped the upgrades that they got from the boss, it took their light level down by 1. So they ended up
I know-
slightly worse
I know-
off than before, which is like, okay.
I know they did say,
but-
they said that the hard mode, like the heroic version of this, is not available. I don't think it will be until January. So people were losing their shit. They're like, this is crap. They've released a fucking expansion for $20, which has got minimal story content, a bit of new content, but not that much, and a new raid, which has already been beat. And we've got to wait until January until the fucking difficult raid comes out. And then, like some guy said, the thing is, you need like light level 32 to do the heroic. Nobody could do it. Like, I don't know whether...
Yeah, it's
if you
literally
haven't played
impossible.
it, guys. Yeah, Destiny is like a serious bullet sponge game, right? If you are not the right light level, you do not win. It's not like, oh, I've got the skill,
Yeah, it's
so I'm
like-
just going to cheap it. You know, I'm going to do a bit of sniping and that. It's like, no.
The entire game
die.
is just a hard gear check. That's what it is.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
it
the
really is.
entire thing.
It really
It's
is.
like, if you don't have that, if you don't have the gear, you just will not win the fight. It is that simple. I mean,
And the problem with
kind of-
when we played it, let me just jump in, Mr. Kirioth. The problem what really pissed me off was that Cryptarch bastard who would just be like, I know he's changed up now, but when we played it, he was like, oh, so you've got a load of legendary engrams, I've 10 cloaks. You're like, you're fucking joking me, mate. The amount of loot
Yeah,
I gave
yeah.
him, I should have been
was
like level
really bad.
27 or something, you know.
from what I
should have
gather,
been
that
getting up
hasn't
there, but I just
changed
got
all that
nothing.
much.
Yeah,
Which
hasn't
is one of the things that's stopping me from actually trying
Well-
the game again, because that level of RNG is
Yeah.
just stupid. I mean, one of the videos that Kat watched from Achievement Hunter, they tried to do the raid, and the first time they tried it, a couple of them were like level 27. They did not do the raid. They just failed. They died. I can't remember what, or was it level 25, one of the two. But like, they just capitulated. They couldn't do it. They didn't have the gear, so they just lost.
Yeah, 25.
They came back
would be too
after
low.
they grinded the cave, like just for about 2 days solid.
Is there
because
still a
they-
cave?
there was at the time. I don't know whether there still is now, but they grinded the cave. They went back and they defeated the boss on the second attempt, and it was actually quite an enjoyable video. I actually watched that one all the way through. But at the end, the boss dropped a couple of upgrades. It gave one of them, I can't remember who it was, but it gave one of them fucking reagents for upgrades from the boss. The boss,
yeah.
the only boss of the only raid in the entire game, gave him reagents for fucking upgrades.
It has major
That's
loot
it.
problems, doesn't it? Like, I don't...
What?
You know what it is? It's like
I don't even-
it's artificial padding that is, but that is ridiculous off a boss like that. But the Cryptarch guy is a piss take. You know, you should always get something off him you can use. But problem is, if you think about the rate we were handing stuff in, if we did get stuff, like if let's say if the game was like, okay, you've already got legendary equipment in every slot bar your head, for example, so the next thing you're given will be a head item. That would have been great for us, and we would have been geared up. We would have gone into the raid then, because you know what stopped me playing the game? I just got bored. I did not want to keep doing this, the strikes over and over again, and I did not want to keep just fucking standing at the cave. I mean, I even made a video on it, blowing stuff away in the hope that I would get some loot, which would then let me do the raid, because I'm not actually... I'm not getting any sort of better at the game. I'm not enjoying the game. I'm just waiting
it's
around
just-
on a random roll for loot to let me get on with the game. You know, people said to me, Sty, we're going to make a video on the raid. Do you want in? The Vault of Glass? And I'm like, well, I'm like level 24. Or I think it was 23.
Yeah.
It's not enough. And they're like, oh, just grind up. I'm like, no, because it's shit. I don't want to sit there and grind.
the thing
You know
is-
why I really enjoyed it? Because that was a game. It was an FPS PvE game, right? I did not PvP. I had no interest at all in that. I think I played it once, and I just don't want to do that. It was FPS World of Warcraft dungeons. It was like, this is what I wanted. This is what I was looking
Yeah.
forward, and I enjoyed it. But then when I started doing them a few times, it's like it's the same thing every time, and they are bullet sponges. Like I remember the one
Yeah.
on Mars, with the big like massive guy at the end, like the big
Oh yeah,
Centurion
yeah.
guy, and he was always this massive bullet sponge. And you'd get there, you'd spend like 15 minutes killing the guy, and it's just like, Christ alive, it's boring. You're just shooting,
Yeah.
reload, all loads of missiles, and it was like, I maybe did it 10,
Yeah.
15 times, and even that's a lot for
And
me. And I
the
just
thing
like,
is,
no
it's
more.
like we've played a bit of World of Warcraft recently. We've been doing some dungeons until we got sick of everyone else being terrible. And like the thing is that people who play Destiny have said things like, "Oh, well, it's the same system. It's just the same grindy system." No, because you know what? In us running those dungeons, I replaced nearly every piece of gear. I haven't got upgrades for 3 slots out of all of the slots on my character.
Yeah.
I ran strike missions on Destiny every day for like a week. And
Yeah,
do you know what I got?
Yeah, he was
I got
addicted to them.
literally nothing. I
Yeah.
never got any fucking loot from them ever. And like, I'm sorry, but I do not play a game for a week that is entirely loot based, that is entirely grinding based, and get nothing and then go back. Because
It takes a special
that's
kind
just,
of person
it's
to do
just,
it. I mean,
it's just stupid.
there'll be people in the comments who will defend it, and I can understand their point of view. It's sort of like the Diablo 3 when that came out. The loot was horrendous
Yeah.
in that game. I think, like, I remember when I watched BlizzCon from this year, they were saying it was something like 1 in a million or something. That would be a legendary, or like I think it was legendary, yeah, like an orange drop on the floor. And but some people were fine with that, and they would grind and grind and grind and grind, woo, and then they get it, and it's like, I remember there was popular streamers at the time, King Kronger or something like that, and some other
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
I think Crip, he was on it. And I'm just like, to me, it was like, you are mad. I played through the game, and I just was like, I'm not playing through on the harder difficulties because it's boring as shit. Goodbye. But now, look at it now. It's like a fucking, you go in, it's like, whoa, loads of loot, loads of crazy effects that change
Yeah.
your class.
I mean,
That's what you want.
it's
That's
very-
what Destiny should have. Destiny,
That's
it
the
does
thing. I
have
mean,
some
in
of
Diablo
that.
3.
Well, Destiny has some of that kind of loot where it does augment the way you play.
It's too
Why not?
fucking randomised from the way you guess it. Because in Diablo 3, I mean, I still load it up occasionally. And there's a small group of guys
It's
from
good.
University who still play it.
It's
and I'll
good.
jump into one of their games
Yeah.
and I'll play it. And I will get upgrades. It's like they're only small. Like, it's not kind of, oh my god, this has completely changed how solid I am. But through doing that, not even like hardcore every night, every day, oh my god, I've got to spend 5 hours on it. From doing that like a couple of times a month, my Crusader is now at the point where she can just about take on T6. And that's just from casual playing. Now, she can't sit there and butcher her way through everything, and it gets hairy, but at the same time, at least I've got something out of it. In Destiny, I played it intensively and literally got no progress, and that's a problem. That's just a serious design flaw with the game. Because the whole point is, for grindy, reward-based games, is that you get a reward. If you tell someone that they've got no reward enough times, they're not going to sit there and go, well, this is just motivating me to play it more. They're going to go, oh, well, fuck off then.
Yeah, unless
is
they're
exactly what
crazy.
happened to me.
And
It's like,
they
no.
just keep going for it. It's exactly what happened to us. And I think, like, maybe it's just a way of them trying to prolong the life of the game. Because we know Destiny's going to have... I mean, fucking hell, it's only just come out and now it's got an expansion. Just to clarify, we haven't played the expansion. We do have keys, right? And these were sent to us from Activision. I'm going to try this later on today, but I'm not like, it's not something I'm really
I'm
looking
not
forward
gagging to try it.
Not, and yet when it came out, I was fucking out. It was like one of my most anticipated games. I hate to admit it, but I was really looking forward. It's like, I can't wait to see what they give us beyond the area, the Cosmodrome area they gave us, and it was not much.
Yeah.
It was the moon and Venus and Mars, and I was like, I mean, I remember when I finished the story quest, I was like, is that it? The woman just gives you the gun. I'm like,
And everyone gets the same fucking gun as well, and that pissed me
Yeah.
off. What if you don't like that type of gun?
yeah, what if you want a sniper rifle, not an assault rifle?
That's what it boils down to. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
But there you go.
I think that the thing is, it's just a little bit disappointing because I really enjoyed it when we started playing, and we played it quite a bit. But the drop off was too severe for me because it went from being interesting and fun to grindy with no reward too
Well,
quickly.
people-
And I know it's very subjective because some people obviously will have played the game and been like, they'd have just got like drops galore, and you'd be like, oh my god, look at all this loot. I didn't get that, and I don't like the fact that I know in any game where there's RNG, there's a chance you're going to get shafted, but I do not enjoy getting shafted for a week solid, especially when other people are going, "Oh well, I've done two things and I've got a load of loot." It's like, well,
Yeah, yeah.
on the one
That
hand,
was
I
the
understand
worst.
that's how random works,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
on the
yeah.
other
But
hand,
it wasn't fair, was it? That was the worst. That was the worst because people would be like, "No, look at this. I've got a, I had two exotic items that were not for my class." I just was like,
yeah,
when
yeah,
I got them, I was like, "Holy shit!" And then oh, it's for the warlock, but I'm a titan, and I'm like, "Why is this not for me?" It's like what?
yeah,
That is horrendous. That is, but there were people who were saying at the time like, don't get hyped about Destiny because just get it when there's like the collector's edition comes out and the game of the year or whatever the fuck they'd call it with about expansions worth of content, then you would enjoy it. But that's an argument and that's fair enough. But at the end of the day, it was a new game that had been in development for years and years and years. It's cost shitloads to make, so you would expect that it has some sort of a bulk of content coming into it, but it really had absolutely not a lot of content. Really, it was laughably
yeah,
content light for what it should have been. You know, but there you go. And
yeah.
also, they spent a load of money on Paul McCartney, which is weird as fuck. And he's like a crazy hologram that comes out of Dinklebot and sings. It's like what?
Yeah, I was going to say, and Dinklebot, Paul McCartney and Dinklebot. How much would that have cost? Good lord.
I know. Well, it's just a waste of money. All right, guys. So what we've done is we have covered the Microsoft now accept Bitcoin payments. And I told you about my illustrious Bitcoin career, which was just like, was terrible, but could have been amazing. But I can't see to the future, so there you go. That was more Bitcoin news. The Witcher 3 with its delay and how that's not entirely a bad thing. And we went into detail a lot on that, so I'm not going to recap that. You can go back and watch it if you want to do it again. Papers, Please, and the Heroes 3, Might and Magic, a restoration of Erathia. What are you doing?
I approve. That's the recap. Next.
He approves, and then Destiny. Okay, now we have done. We have done. Well, it's like we don't know. We've done hotfix kind of like how we would have done it if we streamed it, but we haven't streamed it, obviously. So I've covered a lot of topics and shit. As far as like a hotfix, the show itself, I think we've kind of got to a point now on the channel. If you're like a fan of the channel and do watch the videos we make make these smaller videos where, like, I did one on the crew and Kiri, you did one recently on Kotaku and stuff like that. Those are kind of the old hotfix videos, if that makes sense. Like, if something pops up and we want to make a video on it and just give our opinion on it, that's what it'll be. Hotfix, though, we are going to do it more of this style of like more detailed. It's almost like a podcast, really, if you think about it. Sort of thing. As for streaming it, probably get back into that at some point when I am ready to get back into streaming. Like I said, I do have my GPU back, so that should be starting up in the next couple of days, I would hope. We do have a stream on Friday, so tomorrow, if you're watching this video on the 12th of the 11th, no, the 11th of the 12th. I'm not American, good God. The 11th of the 12th. We are streaming Theme Hospital on the GOG channel, which should be pretty funny because I've got the mod, so it's like 1080p super Theme Hospital. It doesn't look like shit.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't run in DOS. It runs in DirectX and all kinds of magic. So all right. Any last words, Mr. Kirioth? Promote yourself, Mr. Kirioth. Promote yourself and your YouTube channel.
My YouTube. Unit Lost, where you are watching the video currently, is the YouTube channel you should be watching. So go there, but you already have. So stay as well. Amazing self-promotion. You're already watching the video. Go and watch the other videos, all of them.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Unit Lost Gaming, and follow Kirioth. He's Kirioth, and he's at Kirioth, not he's at Kirioth. And we'll catch you next time, people. People. Kuda.